Welcome to Storytime after Roo Bus, a weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Sharla.
And I'm Daniel, and we're back inside the bus this week. We have just got 2 weeks to go, a little less. It feels like this is the place to be tonight, even though it's a little steamy up in here.
If you think this is steamy, wait until 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I know. I need to get used to it. I've been back in a air-conditioned office lately, so I've got to get back in the swing of this heat. I feel like we're going to see quite a bit of it this year, it feels like.
I don't know, because they're putting out some very, very early, well, I say they, I'm seeing some very early weather predictions being passed around on Reddit, on Loophole, and we may have a cooler Bonnaroo this year.
I think it's too soon to say.
It really is. I mean, we live in the South, lived in the South my entire life, and weather can change, in 30 minutes.
Once we get into this season where it's practically summer, I don't think it's summer on the calendar for another couple of weeks yet, but it's practically summer. It's past Memorial Day. Pretty much every forecast is going to say a high in the high 80s or low 90s with a 30-40% chance of storm. That's pretty much what it's going to look like until September, every day.
Right.
Like,
Look,
you just can't tell.
we live an hour south of the farm. There's 2 seasons, summer and Christmas. No, I'm sorry. There's 3 seasons. There's 3 seasons.
What are they?
Summer, football, and Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's about right. But there's also another season for us. It's Bonnaroo season.
Oh, Roo season.
Roo season. Roo season is no longer approaching. Roo season is here. Yeah, baby. But yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock in those weather forecasts until about 5 days before. There is a fair chance that we're going to get some pop-up showers. It's happened fairly frequently in the past at Bonnaroo. If you watched that My Morning Jacket documentary that was out a couple of weeks ago, you probably saw that there was a big rainstorm at that show as well.
Yeah, we had one last year.
Yeah.
Last Friday.
There was one on a Sunday, I want to say back in 2017. It rained, not like a downpour, but pretty steady for about an hour. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of spots inside Cindery that were a little spongy and a little muddy, but it was easy to deal with, I felt like.
The thing about rain, in my experience, is just the mud that it causes. I mean, it can cause people to, when they start walking in it or when cars start driving in it, that's when it becomes the issue.
Yeah, well, anybody that saw any of the footage from 21 knows that very well. Yeah.
2021 would like a word about them.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of people that have some PTSD about the weather because of 21,
exactly.
But it is not going to be like that. That was a massive hurricane that was dropping like inches an hour on the farm. If we get a pop-up storm this year, it's going to be like a 1/4 of an inch total probably.
Right.
Like, it'll cool you off. Maybe it'll make things a little messy in some areas, but honestly, it's really nothing to worry about.
For something like 21 to happen again, there would have to be some freak of nature weather thing to happen.
That was almost like a hole-in-one. But
it really was.
We shall no longer talk about that heartbreak,
that's
right?
Done
yeah.
Over with.
So we do have some fun stuff for you guys this week since we are pretty darn close. So we're going to talk a little bit about our tips for everyone, whether you be a veteran or a rookie. We're going to kind of go through what you can expect each day of Bonnaroo, and not in terms of like, hey, go see this artist, but like, here's kind of what happens this day. What's worth checking out this day that happens every year. Kind of the vibe and the flow of every day, right?
Oh, yes,
Yeah, so we'll do that. And also, I had a fun talk with Taco from the What podcast last week. We had our annual check-in now that things are pretty close. We did that last year. We had no agenda. We just BS'd about everything Bonnaroo for about a half hour. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to that in just a bit. But first, why don't we do a change of pace and thank our Patreons before we dive into everything?
Ooh, yeah. So this is going to be your last chance to become a Patreon for the 2023 donation.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you want to pitch in like $10 or whatever, $5, whatever, go to patreon.com/Roobus. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yep, that's right. That's where you can find it.
Patreon.com/Roobus.
So next week, I believe, is when we'll make our donation to the Works Fund, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a good chunk of change from our Patreons. We've already got a bunch of wristbands that we're going to give out to everybody at our events that are on the Bonnaroo schedule. And I think we've got some shopping to do at Sam's Club next week for some orange juice and champagne for something that people probably already know about, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Charlotte, do you want to thank our Patreons? Do you want to try to do last names this week since we're so close?
Okay.
Let's go for it. We're going to give it a try.
All right, you ready?
Let's go. We got a new one up top.
Okay, well, actually, we have a few new ones on there.
Go through them, yeah.
You ready? All right, James Whitfield, Daria, Chelsea, a.k.a. Hygiene Queen.
Oh, we know her.
Ryan Pascal, Rebecca, Chris Horner, Skylar, Daniel Raymer.
Know him well.
Shauna Roo, Ernst, Wellenweber, Jason.
Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently, I need my glasses.
Yeah.
Jordan Beachboard, Bill, Harris Williams, Brian Joseph, Keith Sears, Casey Arbuckle, Chloe Rose, Andrew Killo, Dave Uniball, Amanda Snyder, Aaron Lord, Nick
Wigalia. You know him.
I know. Maddie McCracken, Sean McCain, Mick Ferg, Bruce Butler, John Howard, Kent Summers, Michael Roberts, Randy C., Madison
Hudzinko.
Hudsesko.
Oh, that's how you pronounce it? I am so sorry, Madison.
Scott Hurst, Greg B., Eric and Ben Abel, Kristen Straub, Natalie Gaucher, Beyond the Hypnotic.
That's Jay.
Evan Brown, Jay Sanders, Chloe Hannon, and Sean McCarthy.
Wow. That list has gotten monstrous.
That is, wow.
Yeah,
goodness.
We're just 2 weeks out from Bonnaroo, so I think everybody has pitched in.
I think we got like 3 new ones this week.
Yeah, I believe so. So those of you that just heard your name or username or handle, whatever the heck you want to call it, we're going to do something a little special for you guys at the bus. We're going to have a little thank you gift for you. I think I'm going to send you a message on Patreon about a week or so out from Roo to get you some details on that. And you're not too late. If you're hearing this, this is your last chance to pitch in before we make the donation.
Last chance.
If you're listening to this in the first couple of days of June, you've got just, like 2 or 3 days before we make our donation?
Yes, we'll do it before we go to Bonnaroo, so we don't have to worry about it.
So, go, again, that is at patreon.com/RooBus. 80% of everything will go to the Bonnaroo Works Fund. The remaining 20% is going to be blown on trinkets for everybody at our parties.
Yes, and we will make a big novelty check and take a picture with it.
Oh, hey, that's one other thing that you've got to do. We still do have some things to do. I have to clean up my Ricky totem. You've got to make a big fake check. Is there anything left on our to-do list?
Not really.
Not really?
Well, I say that, but then I think about little stuff like that.
Well, there's never really an end to the little stuff. At some point, you just have to cut yourself off, right?
Exactly. At some point, you just have to be like, okay, if I don't have it, I can barter or buy it.
We've been talking on our Discord with a lot of friends about how everybody keeps making these runs to Five Below for, honestly, stupid bullshit that we don't need. That's just fun at Roo.
Yes.
That is the worst store and the best store to go to for Bonnaroo stuff. You will waste so much money. Just please be careful if you do.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I keep ordering stuff online. Oh, I need this one more thing. I need this one more. Oh, this would be cool if I had this. And I know. At this point, I'm just spending money to be spending it.
All right, we got to put a stop to it. Charlotte, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our tips for every day of Roo.
Sounds great. Okay, are you ready to talk about how each day goes at Bonnaroo?
Yeah, I think so. We have done this in the past when we're in the last days leading up to everything. So this is going to be mainly for rookies, but I think we're going to talk about some stuff that hopefully will be helpful for the veterans as well. Mm-hmm. So I explained this to our buddy Joseph last year. I personally feel like you can divide Bonnaroo into 3 parts these days. You know, the way that things have been structured the past couple of years.
Makes sense.
So there's kind of the pre-party that's on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then there's kind of like a little bit of a halftime period on Thursday and Friday up until you hit the first late night on Friday. We do have late nights on Thursdays these days, but let's be honest, it kind of really starts once they open up what and which, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got the last half on Saturday and Sunday. So to me, it's like 3 different periods of hockey almost.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's a good way of looking at it.
So let's look at the first period, the first third, right? So I feel like more and more people are starting to come in on Tuesday and Wednesday these days. Last time was the first time, I believe, that people were able to come in on Tuesday. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. So everybody has already got your entry pass already. So you probably already know, like, hey, I'm going to be there at the pre-party on Tuesday. I hope you are, because you can come party with us. We've got stuff going on. Let's be a little honest. Things are a little slow on Tuesday and most of Wednesday. Now, Charlotte, I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. To me, in the past, it doesn't feel like you start seeing a full campsite until later in the evening on Wednesday. Have you kind of felt that way?
I've kind of felt that way when they just did the Wednesday from then on entries. now that we've seen a Tuesday entry, I feel like it starts to fill up more toward Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Last year, the earlier that you arrived, the closer you were to the Centeroo entrance.
Oh, yeah, we knew a ton of people that got there first thing. Dave and Richard from the Monkey Bar was literally a stone's throw away from the arch. Like, I'm not joking. You could probably pick up a rock and hit it from where they were because they were among the first in line. Mm-hmm. That's still the case this year. So if you get there early enough, you will be pretty darn close to the arch if you are doing GA parking. Not any of that Moon Colony stuff or any of the group camping stuff, right? Just regular GA.
Right. Just if you're doing just regular GA car camping, then the sooner you get there, the closer you'll be to the entrance. And when I say to the entrance, I mean the arch entrance, the Centeroo arch entrance. Now this year they are going to have the tower entrance back open as well.
Yeah, so in any case, the earlier you get there, the better of a spot that you're going to have. And that's going to be valuable real estate this year because it's going to be crowded. There are probably going to be people parked on the north side of Bushy Branch Road. It would not shock me at all. It's going to be a packed one.
So what about the pre-party?
Yeah, there will be a lot of people from out of town. So there's going to be a lot of people around Nashville or getting to Murfreesboro or Manchester early. You know, we've heard tell that there is a party at the Walmart on Monday night, but check around about that. But I know there's a lot of things going on in Nashville. I know a lot of people stop and hit up the bars in Murfreesboro. You know, I actually heard a rumor that there may be a Buc-ee's coming to Murfreesboro in the coming year or two. That would change the game significantly.
I thought you said it was coming to Manchester.
Well, I heard that, but then I found an article that said Murfreesboro, so I think somebody might have been mistaken. But that's just 20 minutes north of the farm, half hour?
Yeah.
That would be a great last stop for a lot of people coming from that way.
Amazing, either way.
I read that they hope to break ground on that later this year, so I think that would make it open for potentially next year.
Wow.
I don't know. Google it. Check around about that. But yeah, that would be a game changer. You know, we started something. Everybody keeps asking about Buc-ee's. It's a cool place, but it's more of a joke at this point, to be honest.
Sure.
It's ridiculous and funny because of how excessive it is. Just check one out if you get the chance, and you'll see what we're talking about. Yeah, it's so overboard. It's ridiculous. But anyways, that's enough about the entry days. So we know that there's some stuff happening on Tuesday and Wednesday because we're throwing a lot of it. So be aware if this is your first time, the main venue, Centeroo, is not going to be open on Tuesday and Wednesday. That won't open until the second period, the second third, starting on Thursday, right?
Right, but there's still a lot of stuff to do in Outer Roo on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, most of it will be open. I will give you a heads up. We have noticed in the past that if you come super early, a lot of the activations aren't really rolling just yet. They're still setting up shop. It's crazy how much of Bonnaroo really gets put together at literally the last minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so be patient if you go to a plaza and they're not ready for you just yet. Just come back in a couple hours and they probably will be. Everything will really be rolling by like Wednesday night and then around midday on Thursday.
I remember one year we came in before Bonnaroo started. I don't know what day we came in, but it was like the day before they let in the general public.
Yeah.
And they still had bulldozers like in the campgrounds.
Yeah.
Like it was wild to see.
I know that there's a lot of work going on over there right now. Like there has been for a couple of weeks. They're putting up some new fencing and things like that. But yeah, really, it would be surprising to most people how much gets done. Like not just at the 11th hour, but at 11:59.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you were going to Disney World and they were still finishing all the construction, like when you were in the parking lot. It's almost like that. It's ridiculous. But going to Thursday, what time has Centeroo usually opened on Thursday? Do you recall?
Noon.
Right at noon? Yeah. So you can go in there, and I really encourage you to go in there as soon as you can. It's so fun seeing it pristine and seeing all the green grass and everything because it will not look like that by like Friday evening.
So when you go in there and just everybody walking on the grass and stuff, and then by like Friday, the grass is going to be like crunch,
yeah.
Crunch.
But when you go in, when it's like fresh and new, you hear kind of like a whoop, 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 whoop when everybody walks.
And then it goes crunch.
Yeah, and the only time you can ever hear that is early on Thursdays. So if you get the chance, go in and just kind of pay attention to your surroundings and savor that because it does start to turn into a wasteland by Friday night, right? So those of you that are new, Thursday is still a little bit of a pre-party. Not as much as it used to be years ago.
So pro tip, if there is any type of Bonnaroo, not artist, but Bonnaroo specific merchandise that you want.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday is the day to get it.
Yes.
Thursday. So go to the merch tent early.
Yeah.
Thursday. Especially because there's not a lot for most people. There's not going to be a tremendous amount of acts that you want to see. I mean, you can usually always find time early on Thursday, to go to the merch tent. So I would suggest doing that. The blankets usually always are a hot seller. And
that's my favorite.
The beach towels are usually hot sellers, things like that. Because they will sell out of those items like pretty quick.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, you go to a lot of shows or festivals and the merch is kind of cheap. And I don't mean like it's still expensive, but it is cheaply
lower
made.
Quality.
Yeah, lower quality. The stuff from Bonnaroo is not. It's been good quality.
Really nice, yeah.
We have 2 of those blankets that I bought on 2 different years, and they're actually sitting here with us right now. They hold up.
Oh, they're like those nice quality throw blankets.
Yeah, and I want to say it was $60 at the time. It may have gone up now
like
in the
50,
post-pandemic
60?
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go check that out. I don't know what the design is going to be this year, but that would be my pick for a merch
We bought
purchase.
a beach towel, and it was like $30. But they're like high quality beach towels, not like the flimsy ones.
So yeah, good tip, Charlotte. Go check that out Thursday as soon as you can before all the good stuff sells out. And especially before the lines get crazy when everybody starts piling in Thursday night and then Friday and Saturday. Anything else you want to point out about Thursday?
If you don't have a lot of shows you want to see, which you probably will because
it's pretty good Thursday this year.
Pretty good Thursday this year. But if there's not a lot of shows you want to see, then I would definitely take Thursday to wander around and just familiarize yourself with everything. But like Daniel said, there's a lot. Thursday's pretty stacked this year. There's a lot of shows.
It's the best one in a while.
Yeah.
Something else that I point out to any newbies is that Thursday is still a bit of a preview day because the what stage and the which stage won't be open yet. So there's really only going to be 3 main venues, this tent, the other, and that tent. Everything else won't be going yet. I think they might have some stuff on the Who stage and some of the smaller ones, but the 2 main stages won't be going yet. And I'll give you another pro tip. If you go over to the fence that separates that part of Sinru to the what field, sometimes you can hear the next day's headliner sound checking. If you go about like right at sundown. A lot of people got to hear Paul McCartney a day early, way back in 2013. Yeah. Didn't we hear like LCD Sound System or somebody like that sound checking? Yeah, that was fun. So go check that out if you can, if you're just looking for something fun to do. And one other piece of advice that I would give you about Thursday, I know we've got some great stuff on Thursday this year, but please don't go too hard on Thursday. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I saw someone getting medically carted out on Thursday.
On Thursday, yes. So yeah, stay up late if there's some fun stuff that you want to see, but don't party too hard. Save it for the next couple of nights. And that brings us kind of to the third period of Bonnaroo, when things are really in gear and kind of in prime time, right?
Yes.
Because once you start getting into the evening on Friday, the train has left the station, man. Like when you go into when you go into late nights on Friday and Saturday, that's when things get really weird, really fun. That is when you need to go all out.
Mm-hmm.
That is when there are no stops. What is that thing that Lady Gaga said in that meme? Like bus, club.
No, she says, no sleep, bus, club, another club. And then I don't know.
That's going to be us, yeah.
Like, no sleep, bus, club, another club.
Bonnaroo put that in their socials last year, and I almost feel like half the reason was just to troll us.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. But those of you that are kind of my age range, I'll give you one tip that has worked well for me. Pick a late night, either Friday or Saturday. I'm going to try to stay up a little late to go see Shaq. Like Charlotte mentioned last week, I might take me a little cat nap waiting to see him. But Saturday's when I'm going to go hard. So those of you that are kind of in my position, you need to get your sleep, you get a little tired, like you're an elder millennial like us, that's my advice, is pick a late night. Pick one where you're going to stay up to see the sunrise and party really hard. What about you, Charlotte? Are you going to go the whole time?
So that's your advice.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do is a series of cat naps, as we discussed last week.
I know. It's going to be kind of a game time
I got
decision.
this whole thing planned out, a series of naps.
Oh, okay. All the plans are out the door for me once everything gets going, man. I've been joking around with our...
Yeah, we say that, but then I'll get there and I'll be like...
Yeah, I know, right?
What's a Bonnaroo?
What is Bonnaroo? You know, I've been joking around with some of our friends. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of responsible for on Tuesday and Wednesday. But after we get done with the last Wednesday, I am off the clock. I am responsible for nothing. My goal is to be irresponsible with no plans.
Yep.
So if you saw me doing anything from Wednesday night on, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm just going to tell you right now, if any of you like come bump into me and Sharla, if you see like the Ricky the Cat totem, I will try to be as present as possible, but I can make no guarantees. I'm just going to put it that way. Is that a safe way of phrasing it? Yeah. All right. So those are kind of the 3/3 of Bonnaroo, kind of like we were talking about. Do you have any last tips for anybody?
The last tips?
Yeah. Just the tips.
What would be your biggest Bonnaroo tip? The tip.
Mine is to have a good portion of time when you have no plan. Just point yourself in a direction and be open to anything. Taco and I are going to talk about that a little bit in the conversation that we had. I think that's one of the best things that you can do, because I really did some soul searching when I was at Burning Man and then Okeechobee in the past year. I took some time where that was just the plan. I'm just going to go a direction and see what happens. I was up for anything. I was going to say yes to anything. And every time I've done that, I had the best adventures. I find that when you go to these big events like this, if you purposely don't plan stuff out and you leave yourself open for whatever, you're going to have the best time. So, yeah, maybe there's a bunch of bands that you want to see, but find a big window of time when there's just nothing to do except go find something to get into, wherever adventure takes you. That's just the tip from me. What about you?
Just the tip? Oh, yeah. I wasn't planning on giving my tips.
All right, let's hear it.
Strike up a conversation with anybody.
With anybody.
Yes, because I did not know how to do that my first year. I didn't think you can just talk to people? What?
You can make friends at Bonnaroo?
Make friends? What?
Oh my God.
So, yes, and if you don't know how to do that, just, where are you from? Oh, I like your outfit. Like, it's just very, very easy to just, be friendly to people.
Who are you going to go see tonight?
Yeah.
What's the best thing you ate?
Right, And
what's the craziest thing you saw?
And on the reverse, if you're an introvert like me and someone does try to strike up a conversation with you, accept their conversation. Don't like, oh my God, this person's talking to me. They might be a creep. So accept their conversation, with kindness.
When we're all weirdos, nobody's a weirdo.
Right. So accept their conversation, with kindness, and just everybody's there for to be friends. We're all in this together.
Exactly. I'm reminded of a story that Brooklyn told us last year about a week or two after we got back. She said she was going to go with somebody to a show, and she ended up having to wait on them for about a half hour. She was probably sitting there looking like she was like, kind of by herself or whatever. And somebody came up to her and was like, "Hey, are you good? Can we sit with you?" Mm-hmm. And they just kept her company for a while she needed it. Mm-hmm. So that's another piece of advice from me. If you get in a situation where you see somebody that's not having the best time, they're by themselves, or they're a third wheel with another couple or something like that, take the time to just go chat them up. Make it a better day for them.
Right. Well, that's what happened to me in 2013, and that's what made Bonnaroo for me. So.
Yeah. We would probably not be sitting in this bus if that hadn't happened. So you never know the chain reaction that you may cause by just showing somebody a little kindness. That's a great piece of advice, Charlotte. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best one on this whole episode. All right. Is it okay if we go ahead and jump to this ridiculous conversation that Lord Taco and I had?
I'm so ready for this.
Are you really?
Yes.
Are you ready to see him?
So ready. Yes.
All right, let's talk to him, and then we'll come back here in just a little while.
Daniel from the Roo Bus. What's going on, my friend?
Taco from his bus. What are you doing? What are you up to?
I'm just hanging out. We've got a special guest. Ow, he's biting me.
Uh-oh.
There is Sebastian.
Sebastian, I love him. Yeah. How old is he? Do you know?
I think he's about 14 or 15.
Oh wow, he's an old boy.
Yeah,
he looks like he's doing well.
He's old man. He's good.
Well, Ricky is here somewhere. He might come make an appearance later if he gets up from his nap. What have you been up to?
Trying to get ready for Bonnaroo. Trying to get some work done. Trying to hopefully get this engine here soon. But so far it's a lot of waiting.
Tell me the whole story with that. I know you're replacing the engine. And you went up to St. Louis earlier this year to talk with the guy that's doing it. When did you go up there? You and Cooper headed up there, months ago?
Yeah, we went over spring break last month. And
so is this guy just backed up? Has he got other VWs to get to before yours?
Oh, yeah. I've been on his list since October.
Oh, wow. He must be really good if he's backed up with a whole bunch of other ones.
I hope he's good. We'll see. Yeah, he's come highly recommended. I've talked to people that have his engine and they've gone just all over the country in it and not had any problems. So that's what I need. I'm tired of slapping together used engines and then just getting a few 100,000 miles out of them and then or not even that and then having to replace it again. So hopefully this is the forever engine.
Well, we've talked shop about this kind of thing before. I know all about the struggle bus.
Yeah.
Right now I'm fighting some ignition issues again. Well, more accurately, I should say battery issues. I told you about that
I thought it's diesel.
It is a diesel. So the Roo
so
bus has...
it's self-igniting.
Yeah.
There's no ignition system.
Well, shows how much I know. But the
diesel combusts from heat and compression.
If you say so. It has a 2-battery system, so they're kind of like banked together. And we've talked about this before. There's something in there that drains the battery. I can get it started. It just takes a little work every time. I cranked it up yesterday and backed it up just a hair because we're going to take it on a test drive tomorrow. But this morning I'm like, let me go double check it. And now it's not. But I know why. It just needs to get more juice to the battery. So I've already arranged a jump for Monday morning of Roo just in case. Because I know it'll probably happen.
Those slow drains are hard to track down.
Yeah, I gave up on trying to figure out what it was. It's not anything in the cabin because I turned the switch off. So it's disconnected the bank. So it's not coming up there. And it had 2 new batteries installed like 2 years ago. So I don't know. It's haunted. That's all I can get to.
Yeah, it's haunted. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we do have some Roo stuff to talk about. There was some news that dropped just like an hour before we started recording this on Friday the 26th.
Correct. And it's Grizz.
I'm pretty excited about that. How do you feel? Is that an adequate replacement to Rainbow Kitten?
I mean, I was looking forward to Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm looking forward to Grizz as much, but people seem to love them. So,
well, you should look up those. What is it? Catching the Golden Hour? I think that's what it's called. You should look up those little albums that he has on Spotify. It's way more chill and laid back, like vibey, like Wook elevator music almost.
Wook elevator music. Okay. I'm glad we got a replacement at all because remember what was a couple years ago. Brockhampton dropped out, and they just never replaced them, and that might have been just timing or availability, but there
were a lot of people that went over to that tent that night when nothing was scheduled because they were convinced that there was going to be some surprise set. There was like
I remember that
50, 60 people just standing there, and they saw like some of the crew come out there and moving things. And they're like, yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're packing up for the night. Nothing's playing here.
Mm-hmm.
Go to something else.
Yeah, of course, this was a wet stage and a pretty good time slot. So it makes sense that they would want to have that filled.
Yeah. And Grizz has been up for a lot of those kind of things. I think he filled in for something down in Okeechobee a couple of months ago, if I remember right. It's easy for him to fill in because, I mean, he's got a saxophone and a laptop. That's essentially it.
Yeah, so he might just be the new go-to replacement when somebody drops out.
I'm okay with it. You do need to check out those Chasing the Golden Hour playlists. I think you'll like them.
Okay.
It's not like the ear-splitting, glitchy stuff that you may be thinking of.
Yeah, there was some other news, too, that came out. Didn't we get the, they released the, what is it, the Howl?
The Howl stage. So there was 2 separate
Howl stage.
Ones. Yeah, there is the Planet Roo schedule, and also the one
that's what it was.
Yeah. I've got to put in a plug for my coworker buddies. They're going to be doing a NASA presentation on sustainability Saturday at 2, I believe.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Was there was a little bit of NASA involved there, and I think you probably had a little something to do with that.
Yeah, there is very slight overlap with my department over at Marshall Space Flight Center. That's mostly the crew that's putting it together. They are going to be doing something a little bit different than you may expect. So they're going to be talking about like green initiatives and earth science. Of course, they'll probably have a model or two of the SLS rocket or something like that. But they're going to be talking about like, hey, how we can save the planet. I think that's kind of what their presentation in Planet Roo is going to be about. They thought that would be the kind of thing that a lot of Roovians would be interested in. It's like kind of green topics,
Well, that's pretty cool. So, and when is that again?
That presentation is going to be Saturday at 2 in Planet Roo, but they have a few others at one of the plazas as well. I want to say it's like at 2 in the afternoon on Saturday. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I'm going to book it over there and go visit them after we get done with the Red Roo Beer Exchange.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, it makes sense too. This year, when Bonnaroo's doing so much of a space themed, overall presentation, to just have NASA there too.
Yeah, and they're going to have some really cool stuff apart from just the presentations. Everybody should go check them out. I think they're going to have some NASA swag to give away and things.
Cool. And so you mentioned the Red Roo Beer Exchange. I believe they released the signature beer from Pontoon Brewing for that.
Yeah, did you see the label
this week? Yeah, the label's really cool.
It's all the otters at the beer exchange.
Yeah.
They do a good job with that every year. So wait a minute, you can't just come to that and bring PBR. What are you going to bring?
No, I remember. I joked about bringing PBR, and I will. But I also brought several Chattanooga-based brewery beers from here with me to bring.
Okay. What are the big ones in Chattanooga?
Hutton and Smith, Odd Story. There's a couple more. I think last year I brought a Hutton and Smith and a Odd Story.
Okay.
But there's quite a few breweries here.
What's your drink of choice in those local places?
Hutton and Smith makes one they call a Base Camp Blonde.
Ooh.
And it's pretty much just like a light beer. And then Naked River has a Naked Light, which is pretty much like their version of a PBR. And
is somebody?
Of course, they've all. Yeah, yeah. Of course, they also make all the IPAs and the the heavy beers and the craft beers and all that.
Yeah.
So I try to just bring a good mix of those.
We're gonna.
Of course, last year, what are you bringing?
We're going to try to bring a few from Brooklyn's brewery. She works over at Straight to Ale at
Straight to Ale
here in Huntsville. Yeah. They make a lot of good stuff. We were just over there last night. They have good seltzers, sours, ciders, in addition to all their IPAs and other traditional beers. I don't know if she has told you, but she is going to have her own beer that's supposed to be ready for too long. It might be ready for Bonnaroo. I don't know. We're cutting it kind of close. I was over there last night, and she said that it was in the pot, the bin, whatever they call it back there. They're starting to get it ready.
Okay. Oh, that's news. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
She can tell you more about it, but I think it had dragon fruit in it, perhaps. She's going to kill me if I didn't get that right.
Yeah. You better get it right.
Yeah. But
okay,
hopefully
maybe we'll have some of that.
Yeah. So Straight to Ale has a lot of good stuff. Might try to sneak in some other ones, but we got to plug them since Brooklyn works over there. They're very good people. We love them to death. Whenever we have somebody from out of town, we go over there and go to eat. I think you went with us over there one time, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I need to come back, and we'll go back to. That whole campus was pretty neat because it used to be a school.
Yeah, so it is on Governor's Drive in Huntsville, and up until about 15 years ago, it was, I think, a middle school and a high school, perhaps. But Straight to Ale, that brewery, is basically inside what used to be the basketball gym. So the main area where you can sit down and eat used to be the concession stand, and then they've built a back porch, and then the part that actually was the gym where they played ball is where all the brewery stuff is. So you can walk through and see it all.
Cool. I just hope we actually get a beer exchange this year, because you remember what happened last year. We had that bad weather come in and pretty much had to close everything down.
That sucked, but it was also one of my favorite moments of Roo last year because everybody collectively made the best of that situation. We all had to lock down. So you and Barry had to escape. They took you away on the golf cart backstage.
They took us out. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But after you left, everybody hunkered down for about, 20 minutes, a half hour, or something like that. There were a lot of people that came from way on the other side of the campground. So we invited them in the bus so they could take shelter in case it started lightning or whatever. And when it was clear that nothing was going to happen, we still had to wait for forever for everything to get going again. It was about a good solid half hour. So there was a guy that had a giant Bluetooth boombox that just started blasting Cherub, and it just turned into a dance party while we waited for everything to go. That's so cool. That was If you were at any other festival, everybody would be kind of ticked off, like, "Oh, we gotta wait. This storm sucks." But there was like, "Hey, no, we're still gonna party." I don't think you just make the best anywhere else other than Bonnaroo.
No. What happened with us was, we had to get a golf cart ride because from where our camp is, way back behind the stage, it's just not possible for us to walk all the way through to what was it, Plaza 7?
Yeah, that's almost a mile, feels like.
Yeah, plus, I mean, we're transporting, we've both got beers, we've got recording equipment, laptops, all that. So, like, we needed the golf cart. So, Ken from Big Hassle hooked us up. The girl picked us up, drove us all the way over there. And then she got out and said, you know what? I've never been to the beer exchange. I want to check it out. And we're like, all right, cool. So we were all kind of standing around, and she actually got the call on her walkie-talkie before they made the big announcement that basically said, everyone back to your station. We're going to have to, close down for a little bit. So she had to hightail it back, and we were like, well, we'd better go with you because there's no telling when we'll get another ride back. So we pretty much had to leave right then, which sucked. But we made it back to camp and just kind of hunkered down.
Yeah, I wish you could have stayed, but I mean, the chances are low. Yeah. There's going to be a bad storm that same time this year, so you got to come this year.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be back this year, and hopefully we get through the whole thing because, I mean, we had big plans. We were going to record. We were going to, talk to a bunch of people. I mean, we had a lot of people that, because we had said we're going to be at the beer exchange. A lot of people said they came to look for us, and of course we weren't there. So
yeah.
We'll be back next year.
Recording this year, are you going to have? I know you're going to have some artist interviews, but are you going to do some recording out in the camps or anything?
I hope so. I mean, I want to do as much as we can. It just comes down to logistics and equipment and all that. But yeah, it would be cool to. I mean, we do have some artists that we're talking to probably at Camp Nut Butter.
I know Barry's excited about one particular interview you guys have coming up.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that done on the farm because scheduling has been. Yeah. And there's a couple of artists we've tried to make work interviews wise, and it like the scheduling is just not worked out. So it looks like everything's just getting pushed to on site, which is fine.
It's tough, man. Like we considered doing that one year, I think back in 2018. That's when we thought like our podcast was going to go in a slightly different direction. I wanted to do some artist interviews, but like it's funny that they call it Big Hassle Media because sometimes it can be a hassle to go through them and get like your credentials and everything.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm glad you guys are there to do that because we found our, you guys call them like railways or what do you call it when everybody goes through?
Yeah,
the
lanes. The lanes. Yeah.
We found our lane, and it isn't necessarily like artist stuff or behind the scenes stuff, which. If an artist comes to us and says, hey, I want to be on, I'm not going to say no, but it's not something we seek out. That's more you guys. I'm happy to leave it to you.
Sure. And Barry and Brad, they've both got the connections industry-wide to know how to book that stuff for our show. So it works out. I mean, there's definitely a lane for each of the podcasts, I guess, really the three main ones.
Barry really is going to be like Chris Farley in that old SNL skit where he's like, so that concert was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Like, remember when you were in the Beatles? That was cool.
Yep, that's going to be Barry. Yeah. Which is funny because, I mean, he's been a reporter for, 30-something years. He's interviewed all kinds of people, and I don't think he's ever talked about being so starstruck with anyone.
It's weird. I feel like when you meet one of your kind of sort of heroes, whether they be a musician or somebody else, you have to get rid of like the fanboy or fangirl part of your brain and just be like, hey, this is a buddy that I'm going to hang out with for a little while. Like you guys have had some pretty big interviews. You just have to get your head in that mindset so you don't become Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. And then, and like last year when we got to interview churches, that was kind of a last minute thing. It was kind of like, we just got contacted and was like, hey, these guys have a few minutes if you want to stop by. And like, we're like, hell yeah. So we dropped everything and made our way over there. So there's no telling, what exactly we'll get to record, but hopefully we get a lot done.
That whole thing was funny because David Bruce took a photo that made the three of them look like they were about to enter like a WWE cage match.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That made it even cooler because David Bruce had like just met up with us just to hang out. And then, we got the word and we're like, hey, you want to come and like shoot this? And he's like, hell yeah. So
yeah,
it just all worked out. Yeah. He got some great pictures from that.
I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. Of course, he's going to be back. I think he's bringing some of his family as well, like he did last time.
Yes, and he got a media pass this time, too, finally.
Thank goodness. He's been doing so much good for them for almost 10 years. Over 10 years, I suppose. He's been working directly with them now, doing some of their promo shots. I can't wait to see what he does this year now that he's going to have better access.
He sent us a little preview of like kind of what he's working on, and it's really cool. and I think some of that he'll be able to show off at Bonnaroo this year.
Nice.
I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, he's doing some pretty big stuff with them.
I have to really brag on the people that are behind the scenes at Bonnaroo these days because they have made a really visible effort to reach out to the community this past year. Like they did those plaza pitches where they had people from the community, pitch their ideas for activities or events that they wanted to see in the campgrounds. Our friend Davis is doing one of them. He's doing the speed dating and speed friending. I originally thought that we might do that, but it was clear that, he's going to be way better at this. Please, you should do this.
Yeah.
There's a couple of others, and they were really cool. They gave pit passes to somebody that we were just talking about just for pitching it. I thought that was so nice of them.
It's pretty good. Yeah, they've definitely gotten a lot better, right? Because it seems like they kind of had a few stumbles, especially handling the cancellation and delays and all that.
Yeah, I think there was unintentionally a disconnect after the pandemic and the hurricane years, where like the people that were formerly with AC or now with Live Nation like weren't in touch with the community as good as they could have been, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just a byproduct of us not having been together for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fallout from everything that happened. It wasn't any one specific person or event, but but it's good that they're kind of trying to reconnect and bring the fans back into the fold, I guess, as it were.
I love that they own up to things that don't work out. Like they will be honest and tell you, like, "Hey, we just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks." Like one entrance at the Arch, they pretty much said, like, "Yeah, that wasn't a good idea."
Yeah, they recognize that right away. It's like, well, we won't do this again. Yeah.
Last year, when they had to change things up a little bit because it had become congested, it became on our side, on the campground side, a little bit of a free for all. That was the one year that I had actually snuck in something into Century that I probably shouldn't have. It was just a bottle of bourbon. I promise. I wasn't hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But it was fun, like because right before Tool started last year, we had a group of about 15 of us kind of behind the sound stage. And I had like a whole bottle of Jim Beam. I'm like, you know what? I had some little plastic shot glasses, handed some around everybody, and we took church communion right there before Tool started. That was fun.
Nice.
Maybe we'll try that again this year. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the difference between last year and this year. I mean, last year was so low attended, and this year it's probably going to be a sellout, if not close to it, right?
Well, if it's not technically a sellout, I think I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of days beforehand they were like, "Hey, we're sold out." They kind of did that a few times back in the day, which, I mean, it's close enough to call it a sellout anyways. I think they're just handful left at this point, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and it's pretty much arbitrary. They can just announce at any point, "Hey, we're sold out," so.
Yeah. I'll give you some inside baseball like that I heard.
Okay.
They were kind of happy that there's a plane flying over my house. I'm on the back porch. You hear that? We are right in line of the Huntsville airport. So whenever
you're right in the flight path
from Atlanta, it goes right over our house. There it goes. Bye. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So in the hurricane year, some people were actually kind of happy that it didn't happen because it was going to be a little overbooked in terms of camping, from what I heard. Like they were going to have people all the way on the other side of Bushy Branch, like what is it, north of there, I suppose. It would have been a hike for a lot of people because that one, 21, was practically sold out, if I remember right.
It was, and 2020 sold out quickly. Of course, it was canceled, but I mean, that would have been probably a tough one to attend. Just trying to cram all those people in. So be curious to see how they handle it this year.
It sold out like late February, if I remember.
Yes,
right.
It sold out early.
It was wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was the lineup that was never meant to be. It was too good for.
I know it was too good. Yeah.
I feel like this one is a good one that comes within spitting distance of the 2020 lineup. Like for me personally, there's no one artist besides the Foo Fighters that's just like, oh, this is killer. Like I love this. But there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, hey, I'm really into this. Most of them, I've been to Bonnaroo almost 10 years now, and I've been to a lot of other festivals. Most of them I have seen before. There's a few I haven't, but it's so spread out, and there's so many good picks that it feels like a top tier Bonnaroo.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about it. I mean, you probably saw my where I ran down through my picks.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot that's like absolutely dying to see, but I mean, each day there's a good mix of like stuff that I'm really interested in, and I mean, I think it's just gonna be a different experience versus like you have to be at this show and have to be at that show.
Yeah. I am going to take some of your advice from your pick episode. I'm going to have like a day or two where I have just like 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours where I have nothing specifically planned. I'm just going to roam around, go in a direction, and see what happens.
Exactly, yeah, and you never know. Like either somebody's going to invite you and say, "Hey, come over here. We're doing this," and it's like, "Okay, I've got nothing else to do, so let's go." Yeah, or you're going to wander around and hear like over here, like, "Oh, what is that?" And you'll go close to it, and then that might end up being your favorite show of the weekend.
Yeah, you remember that movie with Jim Carrey, Yes Man? I feel like that has to be you at Bonnaroo if you want to have a good time. It's like, yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You want me to go out to the campgrounds for like Jello wrestling? Yes, let's go.
Yes. Yeah. Don't say no to anything. Always say yes. That's They get you into trouble sometimes.
Bonnaroo, never not yes.
Never not yes. That's right.
So you are going to have to come out for the beer exchange so you can come see us. I think the plan is the group plaza is going to be a little bit different than last year. They're not going to have the giant stage like they had in front of us last year, but they are going to have that little community tent and some other stuff. They, again, listen to the feedback. They're going to have some more facilities for people that are going to be in group. Group is going to be packed. I don't know if you looked at the list of all the different groups, but it's going to be a large, a lot more than last year. We have almost... I think 170 in our group.
Wow. So I've never done groups. So what is the difference? Like you just all sign up as a group and then what, you don't have individual campsites or like?
Originally, I think the intention of group, like when it started like maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little earlier than that, was if you had a group of about 25 to 50 or whatever, you could all sign up and guarantee that you're going to park next to each other. You're going to be together. Because think about it, if you have a lot of people coming in different times from different places, it would be tough to all get together, right?
That's true.
But I feel like it has evolved significantly in the years past because let's use Red Roo, for example. They were one that didn't necessarily all know each other already. They organized on Reddit when they first started, saying like, hey, we're going to put together a big group camp. Anybody and everybody can join. And now the group area has become a little similar to like what you see at Burning Man. So like Charlie and I got to go there last year, and I would say like 80% of all the camps at Burning Man are groups like that. People who don't necessarily know each other, but they come to like one themed camp. So at Burning Man, we parked next to one that was like disco themed. They had a disco party one night. That was fun. There was other ones that would provide like different services. Like there was one that would like give you like a foot bath. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. There was a Star Wars themed camp that had like all the different helmets, and the main area looked like Luke's little, hut on Tatooine or whatever. That was really cool. So I feel like Bonnaroo is getting there with the group area because a lot of the different groups have sort of like a theme. So there is Camp Trying to Go to Bed. It's named after like a throwaway joke that Pretty Lights had almost 10 years ago in 2013. But it's a lot of the parachute people. So they have kind of that theme. You'll see the parachute.
Okay.
It'll be across like one of those big dome things. And then, of course, like our camp is Roo Bus, so it'll be next to the bus. Red Roo has had their thing for years. They are, of course, known for what we talked about with the beer exchange and a bunch of other fun things. And just Mitchell being there and being Mitchell.
Yeah.
So I love that they're encouraging this. And like we were talking about earlier, Bonnaroo has really gotten their hands dirty with community. And they have encouraged like all the different groups to put on their own events. They will provide a lot of the groundwork for events and put it on the schedule. I love that. I love that so much. I think,
that's so cool.
Yeah, that builds a healthy community and ecosystem where everybody feels like they have a hand in the festival. I don't want Bonnaroo to be like the kind of thing where it's like, we speak, you listen. I think it needs to be like an ongoing conversation and back and forth participation between the people who are putting it on and the people who are there. We joked about this last year because, a company may own the trademark, a company may own the property, but the community kind of owns itself. Like they are Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo isn't the place. Bonnaroo is the people.
I know. And what is a trademark and, a property without that community? So you really have to have it all.
Exactly. What would Disney World be like if you didn't have Disney adults going there to spend all their money?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the first time you're doing a Roo Bus group camp. Is that right?
Yeah, we thought about doing it last year. Charlotte got really inspired after we went to Burning Man, and she wanted to kind of adopt the idea of what they were doing. So we're trying it a little bit different. This is a little bit of an experiment this year. So like I said, we have about 170 people, and we're trying something where everybody is a leader and nobody is a leader at the same time. Like there's nobody in charge because everybody is in charge. So we put out a sign-up sheet to everybody that's going to be there and said, hey, everybody take a small job so that nobody has a big job. So there's a lot of little things, like somebody will be in charge of making sure that camp is safe, that there aren't any tripping hazards or fire hazards. Or if somebody's having a bad time, they'll make sure that they alert like medical people. Somebody is in charge of keeping the place clean and tidy. There's a lot of little things like that. So it's like, hey, just pitch in when you can, but also go be irresponsible at Bonnaroo when you're not here.
Yeah. So rather than somebody just handing out jobs like you do this, you do that, everybody just kind of takes a piece that they can handle.
Yeah. So we made a big list of stuff that we knew needed to be done, and everybody volunteered for something. And we also had like kind of like a fill in the blank. Like if there's something that we've missed that you want to do that you think we need, just write it down, and that'll be your job. So like we'll have a big meetup, and we'll just kind of know who is doing what. And we'll hand out wristbands to everybody that's got a job. And then they get like drinks and stuff for pitching in.
Sounds good. Well,
So,
I guess
it's a hippie commune. I guess it goes
hippie
well.
commune, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my plans are still a little up in the air. I still want to try to get there Tuesday. And I might end up in the Walmart parking lot again. We'll see.
Now, you're going to the media area. So do you have to wait a little while longer?
Yeah, well, so last year they told us when they sent the information, media can't get in until Thursday, which honestly makes no sense because Bonnaroo has programming there starting Tuesday. So why would you not want media there for the entire thing, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to side with you on this. I think that is the stuff that you want to cover. Like a lot of these bands, you can see a lot of places. But from Tuesday up until Cinderoo opens on Thursday, it's community stuff that is very specifically Bonnaroo.
Exactly. And, I of course want to be there as early as possible, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I didn't want to wait till Thursday. And then Ada had an extra car camping pass for GA that she loaned me just in case. So, if I couldn't get in until Thursday, I would at least be able to maybe park in GA Wednesday.
Okay.
But I just walked up to the box office Wednesday morning and was just asked to get my credentials, and they're like, oh, yeah, here you go. So I have a feeling I'll be able to get in like that this year.
I feel like you can. Like one cool thing about Bonnaroo is like, yeah, they have to be a little militant in terms of like logistics and getting the place set up and like getting the basic infrastructure going. But once everything is taken care of and they know everybody's safe, things are a little loosey-goosey from that point on.
Yeah. And of course, kindness goes a long way. If you just go in and you're really nice and, you're not a jerk, chances are you're going to get what you need.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you should give it a try because we got stuff going on Tuesday and Wednesday. They have a lot more going on. Last year it was just us on Tuesday, but now they have DJ Mel and some other things that we're in the woods.
Yeah, so I think the plan is I'm just going to go down there Tuesday. Might do another night in the Walmart parking lot, which is fine, Tuesday night. Get up Wednesday morning and then go pick up my stuff and see if I can get in. Now, I know Barry probably won't be there until Thursday or so.
I got to talk to him. We're going to try to get him in the pit for that certain band that we've been talking about.
I think you can.
Or at least close enough.
And I don't know if you heard the news about Barry. He talked about it on the last show. He's actually changing jobs.
I heard that. I was going to ask him about it. Maybe we should get the news from him. But is he still going to be writing, or what's the deal?
No, he's going to be, I can't remember the exact title, but he's going to be over all the public libraries in North Georgia, basically.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like a really good opportunity. And, of course, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he probably can tell, the newspaper industry is not exactly booming.
Yeah,
and,
I've been wondering about that. They shut down the local newspaper essentially here in Huntsville. It's online only now. There is no print edition ever anymore.
Well, they did that here with the Chattanooga Times Free Press. They still do a Sunday edition, but everything else Monday through Saturday is digital only.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him though. That sucks.
I am too.
News is doing that these days. I mean, we've seen a lot of places like that don't do like investigative or life journalism like, they had done here at the Huntsville Times or the Chattanooga Free Press. That's a good pivot for him. I'll have to talk with him about that.
Yeah, I think we'll let him speak more to this change for him, but he's very excited about it. It sounds like a good opportunity. It just the timing, because he's if he hasn't switched jobs already, he's within a week or so.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tougher for him to get the time off to go to Bonnaroo. I mean, starting a new job and then asking to take a week off is
Yeah.
kind of difficult. So
Well,
he's
yeah,
trying
I
to juggle
understand.
that.
I was in a similar position a month ago. I totally get it.
Hmm.
Sometimes you got to put your priorities in line, though.
Yeah, yeah. So he'll still be there. Um, But and then Brad's still trying to work it out. Of course he's going to have to fly in, rent a car, and do all this stuff to try to get there. So that's up in the air as well. It's exactly what time everybody's going to get there. So I guess for me it'll be like last year. Like I'm going to be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Yeah, same. I think our plan is we're going to roll in about lunchtime on Tuesday, and then we'll leave Monday whenever we wake up and feel like it.
Pretty much, yeah. I left Monday and like I was pretty much the last person in the media campground, literally there.
With
Everybody else
somebody like,
had
hey, dude, you got to go home. Like,
Actually, no. I mean, I kind
really?
of was like, I wonder how long I could stay until somebody just tells me to leave.
I've heard
But
from
no,
Mitchell. And if anybody doesn't know who that is, go to Red Roo, and he'll be very hard to miss. Um,
yes.
he told me once that he stayed pretty late on Monday. He slept in because he was wiped out, and it was like past noon. And like one of the horse cops came and was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, you should probably go."
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
working on it." But,
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'll pack it up now. Yeah. But it is nice to just not be in a hurry, just kind of wake up, take your time, enjoy your last day there, and just kind of roll out whenever you feel it, whenever you're ready.
yeah,
And of
and it's
course, for me, it's like an hour at most to get home, so
yeah. I
not
was
like
gonna
it's a
say we're
long trip.
spoiled because both you and I don't have that far to go. I mean, the bus
Correct.
stops out at like 60, but it still takes me 2 hours tops to go from my house to the farm or back.
Yeah, and I like to take the back roads and avoid the interstate for several reasons, but mostly just
Same.
because it's a beautiful drive. I mean, it's really pretty. You don't ever hit any traffic. It takes you a little longer, but it's a nice leisurely drive. You're not stressed sitting in sitting on the interstate or anything. So
Now, do you go a different way? Because I would have assumed that you take that interstate over that big hill. What's the name of it? Where the interstate
Mount Eagle.
splits. Yeah. Do you go a different way?
I avoid the interstate completely. I can leave my house and pretty much go back roads straight to Manchester
Hmm. We
and never
mostly
touch an interstate, never touch a major highway.
so we're just outside of Huntsville, Alabama, like kind of in the Harvest area, if anybody local knows where that is. And we mostly take back roads. I would say that about 75% of our route to Bonnaroo is on like these country roads or like kind of out of the way highways. So
Yeah,
we go
yeah.
past the state line, go through Winchester, Tennessee, near our
Hmm.
friend Lindsay's house and his farm where we have the mini Roo site. If anybody knows that area, we go past like where that Nissan engine plant is or whatever it is they make over there. And
Yeah,
then
that's in Smyrna, right?
I think so. And then we get on, is it 24? I-24?
I-24, yeah.
Oh, it's 20 something. Yeah, I-20. We get on there right below where the caverns is and then go the
Hmm.
rest of the way there. So I'm able to mostly avoid the issues that driving a big hippie bus would give you up until that point. I think, and nobody hold me to this, I think the Tennessee state troopers that give people a hard time mostly kind of give up when you're like within so many miles of Bonnaroo. Like after you get over Mount Eagle, you said is the name of it?
After you get it, yeah, Mount Eagle.
Yeah. Then the presence kind of lightens up. At that point, we've never had issues, and the cops are more worried about making sure that traffic is going as opposed to becoming a honeypot.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to say that for sure, but I think you're right.
That's just my experience. It may be different this
Yeah.
year. I don't know. We'll
Hmm.
see. Well, Taco, my neighbor, has started to cut the grass. Maybe that's our cue.
All right. Well, it was good talking with you. And so, if anyone on our side has not heard of you, Daniel, with at the Real Roo Bus on Twitter.
Yeah, Charlotte's doing a lot of that these days because I'm starting to focus on something that I'll talk more about after Bonnaroo, and I've taken a new gig lately, so she's doing a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's at the Real Rubus. Find all of our crazy stuff there, and we will have a lot of new and different things to talk about after Bonnaroo. I'll wait until after all of our fun stuff to tell you about it.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you, in a couple weeks?
What are we at down to? 2.5 weeks? How many days? I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
2.5 weeks for us because we'll be there on Tuesday.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll be there Tuesday as well.
We can sneak you in.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hide under the bed in the back of the bus. We can get you in.
Yeah. Throw me in the trunk, whatever.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Okay. We'll see you later.
See you, dude.
Okay, thanks, Lord Taco. We hope to see you.
Have some PBRs with him.
Some PBR.
I'm going to force him to drink something else. You know, he actually does drink other beers. I have seen it with my own eyes.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've seen it as well, but
It's not often.
it's only because the place is out of PBR.
You know how, like, your parents will tell you when you're young that, like, if you keep eating that, you're going to turn into that. He does look like a can of PBR. He looks like a human can of PBR. He has the same colors on the can. He's going to start wearing, like, a blue ribbon on his shirt.
So I have to tell my biggest taco story.
Yes.
That nobody knows.
Do I know this?
I think I told you, but I haven't told him.
Well, tell everybody.
So there's somebody on Reddit that is like so confused and thinks that they think that me and Taco are married.
What?
Because one of his handles on something is like Russ with the bus.
Oh.
And so they think that, like, I guess they think he drives the bus, and they have the podcast like all confused and stuff because somebody said something. I forget what the comment was, but somebody's like, "Oh yeah, her husband Russ with the bus."
Oh my God. I can understand the confusion. It's two different guys with two different buses and two different podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'm not even that mad.
They're like, "Yeah, her husband, he drives the bus. What's Russ with the bus or something?"
No, if you were with him, he would end up with this bus, as I understand it. He picks up all the vehicles from everybody.
And I had to go in and like explain it to him, and you could tell that, like, because they never said anything else.
I'm not even mad. That's pretty good. All right, Sharla, we have less than 2 weeks. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The bus is ready. I've been seeing that you have your big pile of clothes almost ready. Do you have everything back here in the back of the bus that you need? Working on it?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Well, as we
I
discussed.
ain't put my stuff in here yet.
Yeah, as we discussed, you'll never truly be ready. Bonnaroo is ready for you, whether you're ready for it. You know?
I mean, like I said at the beginning, at this point, we're all just buying stupid crap.
Yeah.
We're all just giving our money away.
Yeah. Like, you got to have a good budget for your stupid bullshit purposes, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, just help me. I'm walking into this Five Below and I'm only going to spend $20. You got to give yourself a limit, man.
You know what needs to be less expensive? Custom stickers.
Those are too expensive, yeah.
They're so expensive. Because, like, I want to buy some, but they're just ridiculously expensive.
I know. My giveaway for the past couple of events have been these little astronaut figures. So they're the same thing as those little army men, you know, like the ones that you see in the Toy Story movies, but they're astronauts.
Yeah.
I can buy 100 of them for just under $20. I feel like that's a pretty good deal. So every time I run into somebody, I was like, oh, here's somebody to go along with you on your adventure.
But see, I want to give away something custom, not like...
Okay. Mitchell has some of the best silly things to give out to people. So he has his little shovel when he gives it to somebody and says, I dig you.
Don't spoil all his...
Oh, everybody knows that one. But he has made some other ridiculous purchases that he told us about the other night. Yeah. Those I won't spoil. Those were pretty good. Everybody knows about the shovel, but they don't know about these other things that he has in store, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, now that we're starting to wrap up, we should give a shout out to Joshua. We had a good time with him over at the Dead and Company show.
That was so much fun, yeah.
Yeah, great time catching up with him. That was a wild night. I think he was there for about 2/3 of things until it got a little crazy.
He was still there. I seen him when we were
leaving.
You
did?
Yeah.
Great running into him. We'll, of course, see him again at Roo here in a couple of weeks. And, man, we didn't talk about this. We'll have to talk about it another time, maybe after Roo. I had the best time going to Shakedown Street, the real Shakedown Street, before a Dead show. That was awesome. We got a vegan burrito and a drink that these guys made for us on their table. I mean, we've seen these things at Roo for many, many years, but to actually see it on the real Shakedown Street for a Dead show, I had the best time.
Now, absolutely, Shakedown Street is definitely outside of Bonnaroo.
Yeah. Some of that stuff you couldn't do in Centeroo.
Well, I mean, no, there's always a debate. Everybody debates like, oh, is Shakedown Street over there by Plaza 3, or is it like out there on the road between?
No, fam. It's it's on Bushy Branch.
On Bushy Branch. Well, no, that's definitely on Bushy Branch.
Yeah, so that's another one of our tips. Go check out the real Shakedown Street on Bushy Branch, right? Yeah. We got to do that one night.
That Jesus guy screaming.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, let's be clear. There's the Jesus Tent, which is a totally separate thing. And they're cool people.
Not them.
They're great people. Go visit them. They'll give you some free snacks and stuff, and they don't really push an agenda or anything. They're just wanting everybody to have a good time. So go check that out. That's behind Shakedown Street if you keep going north, right?
Yeah.
We ran into it one year. Remember. It's been a long time since we've been that way.
It's been a long time.
Can we make a resolution to go there again this year? I want to go to Shakedown Street and see all the weirdness.
We'll have to take the jam tracks. The tour. Oh, if you want a tour of Bonnaroo, take this thing called
Jam Tracks. Yeah. I do hear it's going to be running better this year, but you know what? I will believe it when I see it. It was kind of a mess last year. I understand they're going to have more trains this year, but
that's good.
I'm a little skeptical because I'm like, okay, if you have twice as many trains and there's twice as many people there this year, doesn't it kind of even out? But I'm going to choose to be optimistic. I want to see what they...
Yeah, the glass is half full. Daniel.
I'm going to see what they do with it. I'm, of course, going to try it out. So I am ready to ride that train as well.
Come on, ride it.
Yeah.
Our group made a list. Skylar made a list of Jam Tracks sing-alongs.
Oh, what were some examples?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But Waterfalls, I'm sure, was on there.
Oh, the TLC song?
Yes,
of course. What other waterfall song is there?
I was like, is there another Waterfalls?
I had to think about it for a minute. There was a Waterfalls Falling Out of Your Mouth song by Glass Animals, but it's not the same. That was a good song. Yeah. Charlotte, I think it's time for us to get out of here.
We're just talking nonsense.
Yeah, we've got one more episode, I think, before we leave. Maybe two. We'll see how things play out. We might be a little late again next week, but again, we plan on doing the live podcast at our Tuesday event after the DJs have started to wrap up. So please come out to that if you're going to be there early. We'd love to get you on the podcast if at all possible. And I believe we're going to do another live from Bonnaroo episode again this year, right? We'll just record bits and pieces as we walk around. That'll be fun. So if you run into me and Charla, I will have a little recording doohickey or my phone on me. Hit me up if you want to be on. I would love to have you on and get your random thoughts about anything and everything. That's the best time, man, at Roo. All right, that's it for this week?
Yes.
That's it. All right, guys. We got just a little less than 2 weeks to go. Get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you in person real soon.
Bye.